Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Karl Smith, and it's a pleasure to be here again on Monday night on our lives. For those people who never tuned in before, on Monday nights, normally we have a live session, either me doing a hypnotherapy session, or I do a Q&A session, or I'll discuss a topic that's out there for people to help and support their growth within the hypnotherapy business. And we all know it's a little bit rough out there to be successful out there, because A, people don't know about what we do, and B, we don't tell them what we're doing, and C, people have this spooky thing. So tonight I'm going to be discussing about hypnosis scripts and where they sit and what I'm going to go through it in a very different way tonight. I'm going to go through slowly and meaningful way about are hypnosis scripts dangerous for therapists to use, or are they a powerful support? And I'm going to go through it step by step. And why most people know where I think these are, but I think it's only right that I pan it out now to talk about other issues and things that may be there, and the difference between certain terminology as well, because that's been brought up this week. I've spoken a few times about scripts before in the past, but you know, it's about showing where my lines are really, because you know, when you're being criticized by people that were only, you know, with any use in the 90s, then you have to sit there and think, well, they probably don't get what I mean because I'm in a modern world. Anyway, it's a different story. Don't forget, folks, shout out where you are in the world and I'll give you a shout out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So we're going to be talking about it in a moment. We're going to go through it in a very logical manner tonight. I'm going to be talking about it. So don't forget, if you've got any questions, please pose them and I'll stick them up on here as well. And I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave. I'm just going to go through it in a methodical way and about what my concerns are and what the benefits are. So hi, Mike. Hope you're well. Hope you're fine. In Portishead. Hope you're fine there. James over in Bulgaria. Hope you're well, buddy. And Donna over in Nuneaton. Hope you're well. There's only you guys there at the present moment in time. Well, no, there's more people now booking in, but as those people come along, we shall give them a shout out. So we'll go from there. So hypnosis scripts. What is a hypnosis script? Now, as somebody that was initially taught with hypnotherapy scripts, if you do not know what it is, a hypnotherapy script is something that some training colleges put out to say, you write out verbatim and you write out a whole page of every single word that you're going to say in that session. So, for instance, the training college that I went to initially first taught me, hi Helen, is what they first taught me to do was to ask the client what they think the problem is. Now, notice what I said there, the terminology I just used there, what they think the problem is there. I said, and then formulate a plan from that. And as in writing out all the way from the beginning, including what was called a progressive muscle relaxation. So talking about the induction, about how to get somebody into hypnosis, close your eyes, take a nice big deep breath, and all of this type of stuff there. And then progressing into maybe, I don't know, writing out something that fitted the client's modalities at that moment in time, whether, you know, they were visual, they were audio, they were kinesthetic, and you'd throw in all of these things. You know, you've got a client that's got anxiety, they're very visual, blah, 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 and you would write a script about it. And the training college that I was, and they still to this day in the UK still teach this, Chrysalis still teach it like this in the UK, and I normally don't mention their name, but the reason is that I am an ex-student, so I'm allowed to. So the thing is, they get people to write the hypnotherapy scripts out. So when you get a student that comes out and they say, oh, I've been taught on scripts, what they tend to do is they've normally got a sheet of paper in front of them, and all they do is they go, and as you allow and I'm just going through it now, so I'm not scaring too many people off because it isn't going to be a rant tonight, but it is about how they do it. It is literally verbatim, every single word that they're going to do. And I'm sure there's people here, and put in the comments, have you been taught with scripts? And do you agree with what I'm saying? I don't really mind, to be brutally honest, but on the same token, have you been taught with scripts? Now, the key thing is that they write out verbatim. So the idea is that you ask the client what they think the problem is, okay? That's the first part, and then you find out whether they're visual, audio, kinesthetic, and then you find out what some of their lovely things are in life that they love and all those type of things there, and try and incorporate it into this story for those people who've never ever worked with a hypnotherapy script before. And that is the way that people are taught. Now, the argument for, and I'm interested now, and I'm interested in those people who are for scripts to put into the comments, because I don't mind, what the benefits are. And some of the benefits that some people will put out is that it gives structure, it gives speed, it gives valiant point, and then what it does do is it just gives structure, it gives the ability to speed, and it gives confidence, right? So I get that. I get that people that have been taught with scripts and that is their only map of the world for you NLPers, that's the only thing that they have, that's it gives them that, and it is a starting point. Okay, so I've got a couple of people here. Yep. What's this? Exhale. Talk scripts felt safe to have. Yeah, there we go. So the point being is that you felt they didn't work. Now the point is that when I see people arguing for scripts and saying they give structure, they give timing, they give confidence and all of that, it's because they don't have a big scope of hypnotherapy. They don't have a bigger scope. Now, somebody picked up the other day, somebody who was well known in the 90s and doesn't really do anything now except scream on the internet, mentioned the other day that I sell scripts. For anyone who knows me, they know I don't sell scripts. I work content free, so we never know what's going to happen next. So the idea of that silly idea is out the window straight away. But what I am heavy on, and I'm just going to give, so that's a script. What I am heavy on is what I prefer to show students is what's called an aid memoir. And an aid memoir is something that's like sat in front of me tonight about what am I going to be doing tonight is an aid memoir. It's not written out verbatim, but what in front of me, what I have got here in front of me, which I am a proponent of, is something writing out something like that. So I know roughly where I am. So in my notepad, I've got a clear lineation of where I'm going tonight. But tonight's linear. I know where this is going, and all I'm going to do is answer questions as I go through it. The human is not linear. When we are working with clients, they are not linear. Anything can happen. You can have anything from shouting and screaming. You can have proper convulsions. You can not, like, as in what a doctor would call convulsions. I would say that proper stiffness of the body and shaking and other things like that. And the key thing is that you never know where it's going to go. So when you write a script out, you're literally just doing this. You are going, and as you just relax and go deeper into hypnosis, you are literally reading it verbatim, right? That is my point around scripts. My point around scripts is that when people are using them, they use them, right, verbatim. And that is, my friends, that is a sorry state of where we are. You normally find that coming out of the sausage factories. And what I mean by sausage factories is they're just pumping out sausages. That's all they're doing, just pumping them out. They don't care about the quality of them. They're just worried about, do they get enough sausages through the pipe so they can sell them? And that's the king there, right? So what I tend to do is and that's with scripts, because what they want to do is get people to learn how to write these scripts and then pump them out into the field and not give a shit about them. And I'm interested at this point, if you are script trained and you're watching this and you're thinking, oh shit, scripts are shite and this, that, and the other. Well, I'm interested in, did the company, and this is really important, did the company that taught you scripts, were they interested in developing your business and marketing thereafter? I'm interested in that. Not selling you shit stuff like fake organizations or supervision or anything like that. Were they interested in your business, or were they interested in selling you more stuff to prop you up in that vortex of sales of therapeutic things? Because I'm really interested in that, because that's something I have noticed. because a lot of these companies sell you the scripts because it's a very easy way to do things. Very, very easy. And one of the key things there is about, and I want you to understand this is about competence. So you've got occupational competence and operational competence. Now, coming back, for those who don't know, I'm a qualified teacher, adult education teacher, blah, blah, blah. And I've taught many, many things in my life, from anything from nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, all the way through to firearms, many different things. And what you get, and I'm going to use the terminology that I would use, is you have operational competence, right? Which is, can you do it? Operational competence. Then occupational competence. Can you achieve a marker in the sand? Can you achieve a goal? Can you achieve a score or a mark that meets the occupational competence? Do you meet the threshold? So operational, you can do the job. Occupational, you can pass exams and tests to do it, right? And what you have is you have people that are very, very good occupationally, as in they can pass the exams, but are shite at doing it. Then you've got people that are very good at doing it and shite at passing the exams. Now, we sit in a really different world because let's go back to my firearms times, is that there were tests and people had to do tests, but they were fundamentally basic tests about safety. So they'd have to write it, and if they didn't know it, we wouldn't let them go any further anyway. But on the same token, is that we had people that were not very academic that could knock at 20 meters, could knock a 20, like knock a 20 mil hole in the center of the target. Can they do the job? Yes. So you've got this occupational competence and this operational competence. And there has to be an element of both. In my opinion, in this occupational competence, do you understand fundamental basics, and do you understand the safety parameters, and do you understand when to stop? That's very important. So that's occupational competence. But does that override operational competence? No, because you should be good at it. You should be able to understand, which I'm going to go on to next, where to stop and what your limitations are, and certain elements of what you're doing. But operationally, you should be far more better than what it is. And there's some careers that would probably be that would be opposite to that. But on the same token, it's about, can you do it? Now, there was a discussion the other day. Somebody sent me a message the other day, and I'm not going to highlight the group, and I'm not going to highlight the person because I don't think they justify it. But my argument about scripts is not necessarily about just the reading. It's about the competence of the trainer. Now, a lot of you know that I sit here on a daily basis picking up the pieces of poor trainers within this profession. That's myself, Barry, and many others. We do that, and we also support people. But on the same token, we sit there picking up the pieces. Now, when people are teaching with scripts, what it does do is it sends alarm bells off. Because what it tends to tell me is that they're occupationally competent, but they're not operationally competent. As in, they know how to get you to jump hurdles to make it look like you're doing well, but operationally, as in doing it, they can't fucking do it themselves. And that just stands out. It just stands out. So when you see me talking about scripts and stuff like that, it's not just about, oh, you're just reading from a script. It actually does point out the level of training. It does point out the level of the trainer as well. Because let's be brutally honest, not a lot of people make it in this profession. And that's because they don't listen, they're not interested, and they're more interested in occupational stuff than they are the operational stuff. They're more interested in the intricacies of this book at page 56 of the advanced hypnotherapy book on this. They're more interested like that than they are in actually doing it. So my point is that you should be looking at that. Now let's come out. Let's about operational and occupational competence. So we have people that train that are occupationally competent, as in they can jump through hurdles and get a score, and they're good at delivering that, but they're shy at delivering actual operational work. And I don't mean operation as in digging things out, operationally getting out there and doing it. And that's how I've always had that in my head, is occupational, operational. And the key thing about this is about understanding, if you are currently going through hypnosis training at the moment and you've got scripts, is understanding, can your trainer actually do it? And that's one of the key things there. That's when you find out they're occupationally good at their job, but they're operationally shy. And that's why they've gone into training, because they can't do it. And the money is better in training. Well, you'd think so. But on the same token, that's what they think, especially if they're working for one of the sausage factories. And that's where it predominantly happens. You normally find and I'm saying it as an ex-student of theirs, so I'm not just roughing them up, with Chrysalis, they just sausage factoried us lot through. They didn't care about the end product. They didn't care about the quality of the meat. They just fired us straight through. And I'm interested, you don't have to name names, I'm interested, is that happen to you? Because you normally find that they're not interested in quality, they're interested in quantity. Scripts, when you see a script trainer, are more interested in quantity than they are quality, because they can push people out quicker and get the that occupational competence up quicker than they can the operational competence. They're not interested in the operational, they're interested in the occupational. Can you write a script? Can you deliver a script? Can you? And that's it. They're not interested in whether you can hypnotize. The other thing as well is how many of those people, and I'm interested in this because this always comes up, how many of you that have ever been script trained actually physically go, and I'll be intrigued in this, how many of you actually go, I hypnotized somebody 100% today? Because that's one of the big things. Now, so that's where I sit with this, is because something came up at the weekend, and let me just come back to this about the group. And if Barry's here, Barry was the one who sent it to me. Somebody put up in a hypnosis group the other day, and this is where occupational and operational meet. Somebody wrote, and I don't know if it was a joke. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but I'm going to bring it up because it's very sad. Somebody put up, has anyone got a hypnotherapy script for a suicidal person? Has anyone got a script for a suicidal person? Now, I'm interested in now, right? And that's the crux behind this video tonight. I'm interested in now, do you think that person was operationally competent or occupationally competent? Did they jump through hoops to get where they were and pass a course, a test, or have they actually been at the coalface? Somebody actually wrote the other day, has anyone still on my phone, has anyone got a script for suicidal tendencies? At this point, you would have thought that anyone in that group or anyone commenting would have thrown the handbrake on that straight away and said, whoa, sweet child of mine, put the brakes on, stop what you're doing, and think about what contraindications are, and think about the person. Okay, the sad thing about it, and I didn't even bother commenting, I just watched it, is that there were some very, very good people in there who immediately, and I'm interested in what your thoughts are on that statement. That is a fact. As of yesterday, somebody posted that in a group, not in my group, because I would never allow that. I'd booted the shit out. But the thing is that somebody posted that yesterday, and I'm interested in what your thoughts are. Is that person occupationally, did they jump through some hoops, right, to get where they were, or were they operationally? And that's the difference there, because anyone with any operational and a slight bit of occupational would have gone, that's above my skill set. That is way above my skill set, because I'm telling you now, as somebody who used to be a police negotiator as well on firearms, who's done police negotiation courses and all of that type of stuff before, that I'm not even qualified to do that. I'm not even qualified to go around doing those type of things. And that there shows the difference, that, in my opinion, has this occupational operational thing going on. Do people really understand what they're doing, or can they just jump through hoops? And a lot of these courses that I see that do sausage factory people out, and it's not just a rant about, because I'm going to come on to other things in a minute. This isn't just a rant about it. It's about the limitations that scripts offer. And what they don't do is make people operational. What they do is they just fill in a void. It's not just about just doing that. I've got no qualms, and I say it to all my lot, right? If you're sitting there and you're new, just write out in front of you. Just write out in front of you. Just write out, you know, a couple of techniques, right? Because you know what it's like when you're new. I understand that. I understand that being new and you're like, shit, where can I go next? But having a little aid memoir in front of you about techniques, or, you know, some words that you can say, right? Things that you could say, like just imagine, or imagine that, you know, powerful little words, something you can just go, oh yeah, because that will build your confidence up. And watching the client, because let's not forget, there is only one script. You can sit there and write out a script as much as you like, as much as you want, right? You can write out a script as much as you want, with their visual, their audio, their kinesthetics. You can write out that they love being on Tenby Beach in South Wales, walking along the sand, minding their own business, walking their dog, and all that type of shite. But if you're not watching the script, the person that's in front of you, then that's when the problems come in. That is one of the biggest problems. And yesterday when I was sent that, and I was sent that by a few people were like that, and I thought it might be a bit of a setup, to be quite honest. No, it looked, but on the same token, it was the irresponsibility of the people that were commenting that was more worrying than the actual statement. With one person just saying, just ignore, oh my God. And I think we all know who this fucking idiot is. Just ignore the suicidal bit and work with something else. And we know that person's is more dangerous than anything. But on the same token, which leads me on to, I knew he was there. I knew he was going to come up. What was just as bad as someone commented that he just had age regression to find out the root cause of the trauma behind the suicide. This shows total a lack of understanding, of why people commit suicide. They do. I know. Let me just leave that up for a second so people can read that. And the key thing about this is, my point behind this is about knowing, and I'm not going to put something up in a moment that's going to come up about limitations, about knowing your limitations. Because I've done videos on this before, and Barry and Donna was actually there, I think, for this. But when I did and I'm going to come on to contraindications now, and then I'll discuss this. But let me just go through contraindications and come back to that story. It's vitally important I get this story across about people understanding about where their limitations are, and about where scripts are merely just about firing people out. They don't give a shit. They do not give a shit. Those companies that fire out people with scripts are more interested in numbers. They're more interested in quantity than quality. That is a fact, right? That is a fact. You can tell that straight off. And the argument is that, well, it gives you structure and this and the other. If you taught people hypnosis properly in the first place, they wouldn't need a script. If people were occupationally and operationally competent when teaching, if they taught them properly in the first place, they would never need a script. You would never, ever, ever need a script. And God bless him, somebody brought this up the other day. Barry was there the other day. I've never, ever seen Franz Anton mesmerism scripts. I've never seen Braid scripts. I've never seen Elman scripts. I've seen people where they've annotated and they've transcribed the sessions, but they don't do scripts. People have transcribed it to show what they said and how they said it, but it's not a script. And they never handed out scripts. The reason being is because it is something that psychotherapists have dragged into, and I'm a hypnosis puritan in some ways, is that psychotherapy, and I keep talking about the psychotherapy is creeping into hypnotherapy when it shouldn't. Keep that shit away from what we're doing, because hypnosis is a pure form. Oh, and I missed him as well. And Milton Erickson. Now, the key thing is that my point about this is about understanding what you're doing. And a lot of people are punched out and it just proves it in these groups. And me and Barry sit there on a daily basis just looking at comments and going, what is the fucking point? I sit there sometimes thinking, what is the point? Because the the trainers out there are just, and some of the training companies are not interested, and scripts are the easiest way. A script will never, ever, ever work. And the reason it will never work is because, and I always sit by this, and I think it was Dr. Mark Chambers who told me this, when a client comes in, the issue that's normally presented is not the actual issue that you're going to be dealing with. In other words, and it was shortened down, and I know it wasn't just Mark Chambers who said this, I know it's said way before, and I'm sure Barry will be able to correct me on this, but the issue is never the issue. Because we work in such subjective areas, because it's so, we don't know what we're dealing with. When a client walks in the room, 95% of the time, what comes out of their mouth and what's really going on are two different things. So for those people that are writing scripts, right, when you're writing a script because they've said, I've got anxiety, and you're writing a script around anxiety, it's probably not even to do with that. The issue is technically never the issue, and I've always run by that. And most doctors will run with that as well. When a client comes in and presents an issue and says, I've got this rash here, or I've got a backache, you know, for instance, I've got a friend of mine who's had a bloody backache for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden just found out he's got bloody lung cancer. He's got nothing to do with it. He's been having massages because the doctor said he's pulled his back, and then they did an x-ray and they found he's got bloody lung cancer. The issue is never normally the issue. Do you know what I mean? And I hope that doesn't sound too serious, but on the same token, but it's serious. But what I mean is I've taken it to a right depth there. But on the same token, can you see my point about the issue that sometimes that a client thinks, what I said at the beginning, thinks is the problem, is not necessarily the real problem. And that's why you always see me working content free, and that's why you see Barry and all that lot work in different ways, content free in different ways, because when a client presents it, I mean, you know, somebody says the other day, well, if they turn up with a broken leg, well, that's not fucking, you know, that's a broken fucking leg. We know that, right? Because that's something that you can see and notice, and it's tangible. We work in untangibles. We work in an untangible world. This is what makes me laugh when people say, I know what hypnosis is. Well, fucking really? What, thin air? We don't know. We have an idea. We have a little idea, but they're only thought processes. So when we have people that when people sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to write a script for anxiety, they're probably wayward. They're probably fucking wayward. They it's not even, so you're writing something that's for nothing. You're actually sitting there writing something that's not even relevant to what the scenario is, because the client's even cocked it up. And that's the point. The point is that when you're doing this type of stuff, and I feel really sorry, and this isn't a rant about you students. It's not a rant about students. It's not. I really want people to understand where my point of view is. And hopefully one or two of you might pin your ears back and go, for fuck's sake, and do something about it. Because you have to realize that in this in any line of work, there's unscrupulous shits. There are unscrupulous people who just don't think about you as a student. They think about you as a money bank. And I don't know, me and Barry sit there drinking beer, talking about this on an occasional, you know, on the odd occasion, just hoping that something will change, and it'll never change. And the sad thing about it is if they ever got to the point where they said, right, we're going to put regulations around it, that script writing would become worse. And that's why we need to keep it away. Need to come back up here. What's your thoughts and comments, people? Are you new to hypnosis and hypnotherapy and think I'm talking absolute fucking waffle? I don't care less. But I'm interested in what you got to say. I think it'd be incredibly irresponsible to use a script in a situation. We're talking about the suicidal thing. If they're asking for a script, they have no idea what they're doing. Exactly. And this comes back to the operational, occupational. They've probably jumped through a set of hoops to get there and go, oh, I've got this, but never done anything operational to prove what they're doing. Because the criteria or the curriculum that's set is only there for the trainer to go tick box, tick box, tick box, tick box, tick box, tick box. That's why when I go back to my firearms training, you only had to do you had to understand law and firearms law and all that lot before you go into it, and that's very serious. You have to understand all that. But when it came to the coalface of actually using a firearm, that was when you knew how to point the gun and point the target, and then go through that process and then hit the target and then qualify by hitting the target. And that's the scenario. Do you know what I mean? In most training nowadays, Scott, I'm going to come to you in a moment on that. When you're doing anything like this, it's about the operational competence, and that is my biggest thing about scripts. And I'm going to come to Scott in a moment. He's a good friend of mine, but he owes me breakfast. The thing is that I find that most people that come out of script-based training are operationally incompetent. Fuck me, they can write a script. Oh, they can sit there and read all day long, but they're shite at doing what they're doing. And that there is where my point is about, it's not just about reading from it. It's the other factors that come with it as well. It's the irresponsibility of the trainer, and it's the incompetence of the training team. Now, I'm going to answer Scott first because I love him dearly. Scripts are great at creating audios. I have no dispute in that. Because when I did my first ones, my first MP3s, they were all me writing them out to do it. I wouldn't do it nowadays, but the confidence is there for me now. But if you're creating an audio and you're not sure, then having a script or an aid memoir, I would strongly suggest more of an aid memoir, because I don't really talk a lot in my sessions nowadays. So for me to talk would be random. I don't really talk because a lot of my work is content free. So if I was to do it like I proved with those MP3s that I did a few years ago, where I did the induction phase and then said, let it go. And I did the fights and then kept it quiet. I think it was for 30 minutes, didn't say anything for 30 minutes, and people were getting more results than what they were of anything else. But I see what Scott's on about here, about having something in front of you where if you're in a recording studio, you can plan it out. I get it. But on the same token, it then brings in, do MP3s work? I don't know. That's another question to be asked, isn't it? All right, Scotty. If there's ever a situation when the issue is the issue, like a phobia, no, because I don't think that is either. I don't think that I don't think that it is. I think there's lots of other things around that. I don't think a phobia is ever just about the spider, about the snake, about the fear of heights. Never do. Yeah, there is a duty of care. There's a huge duty of care, and I know that I'm gonna come back to this in a moment. Barry knows about it, and I think Helen does, and a few people. I've always made it very open about this, and why that the other day, the incident with the have you got a script, is because those people, and Donna was actually there, I think, when this happened, is that we were running a course here in Suffolk in England, and a girl came on my course. Now, I will clarify something, is that we had spoken to her med team, we had spoken to her doctor, and we had spoken to many other people. The long story short is this lady was going to go to Dignitas, which is where people go to end their life in Switzerland. And she came on the course, and the object is not to do any hypnotherapy, not to change her. In fact, Donna definitely was there, because I've just remembered something. And the object is not to do anything spectacular, not to change her life. She had debilitations, she had lots of other things going on. Hypnotherapy was never going to change it. The idea is that she came in and we did some meditative work. It was more of a challenge, really, just for her, just to have a peaceful night's sleep. That was exactly what the goal was. Changing her mind, going to Dignitas and ending her own life because of the disabilities and other things that were going on in her life was never, ever, 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 ever on the scorecard for me. I know it was for one person, wasn't it, Donna? Anyway, but the thing is, the long story short is that the idea is that she just wanted to try hypnotherapy to see if she could have a peaceful night's sleep. And that's what we did. And I worked with the doctors, I worked with their carers, I worked with their family, I did everything. The long story short is that person there she went away and she had an amazing day the next day. The next night, the wheel fell off and she felt a little bit bad. And then the following day, she took her own life. Now, in the letter that she left, I was not to blame. She said it was the most peaceful that she'd felt, and she didn't think it was going to get any better. And the noise The noise in her own head had calmed down, and she decided that she didn't want to go back to the noise and the repetition of what was going on and things that she'd said, keeping it very simple. And she decided to take her own life with her insulin jabs. And since then, the safety of my clients, it always was there, but that takes a fucking huge jolt on you. And I know Barry knew it hit me hard, but on the same token, those type of things there, when I see people acting like fucking gods and saying, just ignore contraindications, and I'll come on to that in a moment, just use a script, it's perfectly fine, just ignore those people. What you are doing is you're showing one thing, that you're incompetent. And that's where I wanted to get with this tonight, is incompetence. I don't dispute that people have got to learn, people have got to train, but if you teach people properly in the first place, they wouldn't fucking need them. That's my point. And what's happening is that the contraindications are slowly being ebbed away. Most training won't even bother with them anymore. And some of you are listening now are probably going, what the fuck are contraindications, Karl, in hypnotherapy? I'm going to go on to that in a moment. But the point being is that when you take away the safety barriers, when you take away the safety mechanisms, and you start putting lives in danger because of your own ego, then you need to fuck off to 7-Eleven or Tesco's. Because I don't tolerate that shit. And some of that shit that I read yesterday, it just I sit there with Barry sometimes. I mentioned Barry a few times. Like, we sit there sometimes thinking, what the fucking hell are we doing? And genuinely, I do think about the hot dog and the ice cream stand. Just getting one. Just getting an ice cream stand. It's fucking easier. But the thing is that it's about safety. It's about safety being eroded. And sometimes we're using scripts, the safety's being eroded. Now, I will say there's some fucking good trainers out there. Let me just answer these questions. Right. So is there any issues? There is like a phobia. Got that? And then Barry's responded, with regard to phobia, it's never what they claim the phobic is about. Yeah. I never have found it. I've been able to clear phobias and stuff like that with nothing to do with a spider, not even introducing us talking about spiders. I think the key thing that we need to understand here is that when people are talking about root causes and stuff like that, when you've got somebody who's been subjected to several different things, it's funny actually, because who sent me the video? I've always maintained this, but Barry sent me a video earlier about a psychiatrist that says we never actually fix people. I actually don't. When people are saying, "Oh, we're going for the root cause," I actually don't think that we ever get. There's this golden fleece mentality within hypnotherapy or therapeutic environments that we do the hypnotherapy session to get 100% for our clients. You may well get a segment, you may well clear a fear, phobia, or a trauma, but you're never ever going to clear up all their shit. I don't think and I've always maintained it when I talk about the Dalai Lama. I reckon he wakes up some days and says, "Who did my noodles last night because they were fucking cold?" And I sometimes think like that. You're never going to clear it all up. You may just do the segments, but you're never going to clear the whole lot up. So when people are chasing these root cause ideas, you're just down a funnel and you're just chasing all day long. And I always find that getting people past that problem at that moment in time that's holding them back, to let them, and then give them the confidence and the ability to move forward from that, is more therapeutic than sitting there and keeping them in a therapeutic cycle. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I don't think that people ever are 100%. I really don't. And this whole golden fleece thing about, oh yeah, my client was 100% when they left. No, you're talking shit. You dealt with what they came for, but you've not dealt with everything in their life. And, if we look at it, we'd just leave people in therapeutic interventions for the rest of their lives. I don't know. Anyway, I was going to go on to contraindications. This is one thing that is being eroded. And I've been key on this for many, many years. Since that thing that happened to me, I've always been key on it. Contraindications, red flags, big red flags, massive red flags. If somebody comes in and they say, I've got X, Y, Z, that is when you should stop. Because what we're finding, especially with that post yesterday about has anyone got a script for somebody who's suicidal, is that what we've lost there is the safety. Remember, it is one thing for you. Guns aren't dangerous. People who hold them are. right? Same as hypnosis. Guns are not dangerous, right? It's the idiot that's holding it. And I was one of those idiots. But the thing, does that make sense? A gun will sit there forever in a day and not do anything. It's not till the idiot that picks it up and does something with it that it does it. All right. Not that we're all idiots, but you get the idea. And it's the same as with hypnosis. Hypnosis isn't dangerous until the idiot gets involved. Right? Hypnosis is perfectly safe. It's when fuckwits get involved. That's the problem. And that's the point behind this about scripts and about the erosion of safety mechanisms and looking after the client and what the client's doing. And some of you might be sitting there going, oh yeah, but I look after my client. Like, fuck, if you're reading a piece of paper like this, you are not watching your client. All right. That is a fact. Contraindications include schizophrenia, bipolar, personality disorders, drug-induced psychosis, alcohol-induced psychosis itself, narcolepsy, suicidal tendencies, and you know, anything there that sits there and flashes up. I mean, if somebody walked into my room and said, yeah, I've got schizophrenia, I've got severe bipolar. Now, have I worked with people with bipolar? Yes. But when people come in and say they're on XYZ drugs because of their bipolar, there's a red light that comes up. Now, I know that there's people out there that are senility. That was the other one as well. Thank you. The other thing as well is that the key thing about this is that those people who negate the safety mechanisms and go, yeah, well, they just want to put them on drugs. They are playing with their ego. It's their fucking ego, right? And I get so anti and so angry with these fucking idiots, right? Who sit there and go, just ignore the doctors and ignore what the British Medical Association says, ignore what UK law says, ignore all of that stuff and follow me because I've been a hypnotherapist for 3 years. Now I'm teaching people because I came from a job where I fucking put myself in danger and now I act like a fucking lunatic. When those people say, just go work with schizophrenia, just you know, ignore what the signs are on suicide and all this, like, ignore all of that. When people doing that eggs my shit, because that person's put themselves in a place of authority with little to no experience. There's a trainer, I'm not even going to mention her fucking name, right, because she doesn't deserve it. But she's sitting there yesterday and said, just ignore all of this because people just want to put them on drugs. I mean, I'm not being funny, but that's a fucking flat earther. This isn't about just putting them on drugs. It's about law. And for those the other day that were in my group, in my hypnotic masterminds group, we had a Chinese guy the other day. It doesn't matter, but he was doing Chinese medicine and he negated UK law. He said, fuck UK law, and told people from a point of position, which you are, right, which you fucking are, a point of position to stop taking their medication and for their diabetes, because by slapping them, he was going to fucking kick it out of them. And then 2 people died. A child died in Australia and an adult died in the UK from his actions. And that is my point. With all of these things about scripts and sausage factories being pumped through, and about how they're being shoved all the way through this pipeline and how quick they're being pumped through. They're worried about occupational competence, not operational competence. While they're doing that and getting the occupational, what they're not doing is putting the safety parameters in place. And that proved it yesterday when people are sitting there going, just ignore that and just ignore what the doctors say, ignore what the safety parameters are, just use this and just tell them it's this, this, and this. And there are fucking idiots out there that do it. I have been in a position where somebody died on my shift, right? It wasn't my fault, but they did die. And I'm very open about it. And I know somebody used it against me once. Fuck them, right? But on the same token, right, I'm being honest that I wasn't held to blame, not even in the coroners or anything like that. It was a case of that person died after they'd seen me, which was fucking heartbreaking. And I know that people here know that how heartbroken I was about that. And I don't want any of you to do that. So when I see the safety parameters being ebbed away with poor training, with scripts, with this whole verbatim stuff of just doing that, ignoring what the happenings with the client and bypassing the safety parameters, that's when I get a fucking arse on. That's when I get an arse on. And I will call people out. I'm not going to mention a name because I don't even want people looking at her fucking website. And that is the point. If people want to know privately, I'm sure Barry and me will fucking tell you, but on the same token, I am not putting it on here, because when you start telling people to ignore schizophrenia, bipolar, personality disorders, when you start telling them to miss senility, when you start telling them to just ignore psychosis, alcohol or drug-induced psychosis, when you just ignore the medical profession, it's not just about the script. It's not just about the script. It's not just about the script. It's the ebbing away of the safety parameters and being client focused and watching what the client's up to. I know people call themselves client focused hypnotherapists and read a script, but that doesn't mean anything, because that's just a fucking job lot name anyway. Nobody gives a shit about that. But the thing is that is my point, and I wanted to bring that across with a couple of comments that have been made, plus that comment yesterday, plus me sitting there getting myself all fucking wound up all day about it. Well, I didn't get so wound up about it, but it just infuriates me that people will play God, and they will go out there and just kill people because of their ego. I just don't do it. Be cautious, and that's the reason I talk about be cautious about if you have a trainer that's delivering scripts, and I mean as in punting them out and then not putting safety parameters in, ensuring that operational competence is in place and understanding occupational competence around that, then that's my arse. That is really my arse. It's not just, and as you walk down the windy road, because you're not actually dealing with the issue anyway. That's my point. You're not if the issue is never the issue, which it very rarely is within our profession, then I know it's a joke I'm not going to put up, but on the but if the issue is never the issue and you're writing a script for an issue that's not really the issue, what the fucking point are you doing? And are you actually watching the client, and are you actually doing what you're meant to be doing? That's my point. That's my point. And that's a joke. I know Barry's sitting there at the moment going, oh, what? No, you can't. And actually in the UK, it's actually illegal to say you can cure cancer. I think Gary Coles has spoke about it on this channel before, something to do with the 1940s Cancer Act or something like that. In England, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say cure in England. What are the only things you're not allowed to do? Barry's sitting there at the moment going, well, it's a joke. It was a joke, Barry. And I just wanted to finish off really with, if we taught people properly and we taught people, I don't want to sound like some philosopher sitting here, but it just, this profession is being ebbed away through money. And I make a living out of this, don't get me wrong, but I'm not greedy. And I make sure that people are safe, and I make sure that people are well trained. That's what I like doing. But when we, especially like men, I keep saying Barry, I know you're joking. I know you were joking. That's why you did it. I think that when the safety is being ebbed away, and when we've got people out there that are probably putting people in danger, I think we have to ask ourselves, what the fuck are we doing? And why didn't more people call that out? And I'm not saying you guys that watch me now, but why are we not calling this out? And that's why I've always been like this. Because I realise the safety that comes with this. I realise the responsibility that comes with this. It might be the fucking joker of the pack, but when it comes to we are putting people's lives at risk when we should be helping people, fuck it, the two worlds just don't meet, do they? And I just think it's shocking that we're allowing people to sit there and go, just ignore schizophrenia, just ignore bipolar, just ignore what the doctors say, just ignore UK law, just ignore state law, just ignore what their family said. I think that it's fucking tits up, I have to say. So on that note, what's your thoughts? I'm ready for a Q&A really. But the reason being is that when you see that, and the reason, it's not just about reading. It's not just about the reading. And I've probably given Scott to go away and think about something now, about what he could add to his product. But the thing is about that operational competence, about that knowing when to stop. I think that's vital. This is not me. I shouldn't be doing this. I need to find somebody else. Not... If somebody turned up at my door and said that they had suicidal tendencies, the first thing that I would do is find out if their family knew where they were, and then call people who are better trained than me to deal with it. because there becomes an element of if you do something and somebody loses their life, it means that you're going to get churned up in the courts. Very, very simply. And I come from a background of that type of stuff. That's probably why I see it a lot more than others. I just don't get it. So it's just coming back to it. Scripts, shite. Aid memoirs, good. Teach people properly in the first place, and they won't need scripts. If we taught people properly in the first place, they won't need scripts. Give them aid memoirs. Teach them how to make an aid memoir. Show people or use an aid memoir. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And that's my point is it's not necessarily just about the script. It's about the ebbing away of the safety parameters. It's about ebbing away that client focus part, that little bit where we're watching the client. If you teach the fucking person, if you teach people properly first, they won't need it. All he needs is an aid memoir. What's your thoughts? Don't forget, people, like and subscribe. Don't forget. And I forgot to put this up. I was sitting there chomping away too much. And don't forget, if you want to join me on my mentoring, you're more than welcome to. Anyone who's interested in any of me online training or training with me and learning about contraindications and about being a safe and ethical hypnotist, hypnotherapist, join me there. If you want to join my 24-month mentoring along with the team, you're more than welcome to. It's a YouTube channel, folks. Somebody said the other day, you're always putting fucking adverts up, Karl, on the YouTube channel. Yeah, because this is fucking free. That's why. That is where you get paid. Yes. Sometimes I sit there and think, oh my God. I've never heard of a term aid memoir. No, an aid memoir is French, isn't it? But being Canadian, you should know that because you're partially French, aren't you? Oh, no, you're not. You're a Torontian. Yeah, aid memoir. Basically, an aid memoir is something where you just is something that just goes down in bullet points. Basically, bullet points. Have a look at it. Aid memoir. Just make sure I got my terminology right there. It is an aid memoir. I know that because we used to write them. Aid memoir. It is French. A memory aid. There you go. Here we go. Here. This is never good, is it? Aid memoir. French pronunciation. A French loanword meaning a memory aid, a reminder or a memorandum, especially a book or a document serving a purpose. There you go. An aid memoir. I used to use aid memoirs all the time. And it's just for your information, it's AIDE. There we go. It's called an aid memoir. There we go. There we go. So yeah, and that there, because we used to use aid memoirs all the time for, like, if you're doing especially in the military or anything like that, you got fire orders, you can have a clip on your arm, stuff like that, where you can see what's going on and that thing soon. All right. There's nothing wrong with having an aid memoir, just to remind you if you're new, but that fucking yeah. We need to get Scott on one day. Don't be a big boy. See you soon. But I hope that makes sense. It wasn't meant to just be a rant. It's not a rant. It was to show how I feel it is going, about how the sausage factory, the occupational, the operational competence, and about how people are more interested in getting people occupationally competent rather than operationally competent, so they understand what they're doing, and then pushing them through a big sausage factory. And during pushing them through, what they're doing is, because there are no safety parameters put in place to ensure that those people are, because, like we know, most of the training companies, the big training companies, own the WASIs, the governing bodies, or most people who own governing bodies, they have no clinical, legal, or medical governance in their country. They don't. But on the same token, that's why, because the training companies and the governing bodies are normally owned by the same family. That's why, because it's a cash cow. They're not interested. They're not. They can go check that out. If you do business checks or business background checks, you'll normally find that out. That sometimes the business that's selling the training owns the training accreditation as well, so they can pump their people through more money. Simple as. And then some people have just got accreditation companies, but they're not really doing anything with it because you're paying for their holidays. And they have no clinical, legal, or medical governance. They're merely a boys' club. They're just a club, all right? You could join the fucking girls' brigade. Doesn't really matter, all right? Better late than never. Oh, yes, please. And it was the 1939, so it was only a year out, I think. There we go. Yeah, I know. I've already had that fucking death. Fucker. So, yeah. So I hope that helps. I've got a client now, so I've got to get my scripts ready for my client in a moment. She's probably watching, aren't you? Down in New Zealand, no, Australia. So I'm gonna love you and leave you there. But on the same token, did that make sense? Don't forget, like and subscribe. I don't blame the students, I blame the trainers. And I blame the trainers for negating the safety parameters. And that, what we watched yesterday, was fucking a living proof that people are more worried about their egos than they are about the safety of their clients. I was fucking fuming all yesterday. I was like that with Barry. Fucking something. No, leave it. Just leave it. Do a rant tomorrow night. Sorry, I'm late. Been reading scripts for real clients. You're welcome. So I'm going to love you and leave you because I've got a client in about 4 minutes' time. I hope this has helped. I hope you realise it wasn't just a pure and utter rant, and I hope you understand my rationale. And I hope you understand the difference between a script and an aid memoir. And I hope you understand that it's about safety mechanisms being eroded away just to fill people's pockets. My friends, as ever, I shall see you next week. It will not be Monday because I'm out of the country doing something. And I shall catch up with you probably. I will let people know anyway. I'll be in the group. But the long story short is I shall catch you anon. My friends, if you've enjoyed this, leave a comment. If you haven't enjoyed it, couldn't care less. But the point being is I hope you got something from it. Go out there, my friends. Be safe in this crazy, crazy world. And go out there and go practice. And when you finish practicing, you're damn right. Go practice some more. And when you finish practicing more, go practice some more. All right? Don't forget, want to join me? Do that. My friends, see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.